everybody, Gina DeLuca here. All right, today I'm going to be trying something new and we're going to see what happens. So this is going to be a double straight pour. It's kind of going for a yin-yang effect. So I'm going to have two puddles. And one will have a white background and hopefully black cells. And then the other will have a black background and hopefully white cells. We'll see what happens. I've never used this particular paint before, this color, which is the DecoArt Satin Enamels in Classic Black. It did have that oily substance on the top, so I'm hoping that it is a cell maker. And I was at the very end of my jar of my pure white and satin enamels, and I'm out. I didn't realize I was out, so I have to get some more of that. Can't live without that. And I have, for the background colors, Liquitex Basics in Titanium White and in Mars Black. So these paints have been mixed, 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. And that mixture is then thinned to the proper consistency with my concoction of 90% water, 10% Floetrol. So 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol, and then the concoction to thin it. I might just start calling that my concoction, because I think people get confused and they think that I'm using the this liquidy stuff as a replacement for the pouring medium, which in this case is the Floetrol. I know Floetrol is not technically a pouring medium, but for how it's being used in this purpose, we're calling it a pouring medium. But technically, a pouring medium will have its own binders in it. So the Floetrol does not have binders. Your paint has the binders. But that's why like a genuine pouring medium has more of a gloss to it, because it has those polymer bonds in it. Floetrol is a paint conditioner, and it's typically used for when you're painting a wall. If you add it to your paint, it gets rid of any brush marks, and then they also add it to the paint sprayers to help it spray more easily. But it's also a work time extender, so when I'm doing the impressionist stuff, I really like using Floetrol because it gives me about 2 hours of work time. Whereas if I were using like Liquitex or Golden or something like that, it's going to set up a lot quicker. Okay, so that's your Floetrol lesson for the day. All right, the proper consistency that we are working with. This is about a 2 on my consistency scale. It is making a mound, but it disappears very quickly. A 1 would be, it just disappears. It doesn't even make a mound. So this is 1 step above that. Before we get started, have you seen the fluid art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have, there are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube, and that's where you get the exact paint colors, the consistency, the recipe that I'm using, everything that you need to know. This is a picture of that particular painting in that video. And then we have a box down here that has a tip for that particular technique. And at the bottom, we have the color palette that was used in that painting. And then these 2 boxes can be used together as the basis of a 2-color palette. And now that I'm seeing those colors together, I think I know what colors will be in my next painting. I'm digging that. Yeah. And then there are, where are they? 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors, and then mix and match the color palettes with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also on amazon.com. Yes, they are back in stock. Yay. All right, the first order of business is laying down a base coat. And we are doing that so that the paints have something to slide around on, your poured paint. If you do not lay down a base coat, something has to stick to the canvas first, right? So that's going to be whatever is coming out of your cup when your poured puddle. And the problem with that is the center of your paint will roll over top of the edges because the edges need to stick. Anywhere it's dry, paint needs to stick. And some of the coolest stuff can happen on the edges. And laying down a base coat gives you more options with your composition, because if you decided you wanted to do negative space, you could. And the reason I chose white for my base coat instead of black this time is because I wouldn't want the black to dull the side that would have white background. I want to keep that white nice and bright. All right, my base coat is down, and I'm going to pull out Bernie 2 times or 3 times and pop these bubbles. Let's put some paints in a cup, shall we? Or in 2 cups, actually. All right, so I will start with the white. And I'm gonna reserve just a little bit of what's in this cup to put over top of the black in case it doesn't sink the way I want it to. That should do. And then this is the Satin enamel. And we are sinking beautifully. Oh yes. Oh yes, yes, yes. That is what you want to see, my friends. And then I'll just put this white, what's left, over top of the black that did not have enough velocity to sink. I pour from up high so that it will sink. It'll have that weight behind it. I'm going to move quickly because that is selling up already. Again, same thing. Going to reserve some of the black. And now for the white satin enamel mixture, pouring from up high, sinking beautifully. Love it. So far, so good. Now this is going to be way more paint than I needed. Alrighty, we are off to a smashing start. No complaints. So I think instead of doing them side by side, I want to do them a little like diagonally like this, so that when I stretch it, the line is actually diagonal instead of cutting the canvas in half. If it were just 2 puddles, there would be a line going this way, but doing them this way, I'll be able to stretch. I think some cool things will happen. I think. I play these things out in my head, and I imagine myself pouring them, and I imagine myself stretching them, and how it turns out. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But let's see what happens here. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pour them at the same time so they take up the same amount of space. I'm not sure how I'm gonna finish my cups. Didn't think about that. And my angle's a bit off. Oopsie. That would have been so good if I had not dipped both cups. It's all right. We'll see what happens. They were both great dismounts, but I dipped both cups in the paint. My angle's a bit off. I was kind of hoping for more of a, we'll see what we can do. And Bernie, this is a bad time to give up on me. All right, Bernie isn't working at the moment. I just refilled it, but I refilled it with a fresh container just now, and I think you have to wait like 3 minutes. So we need to wait anyway. This is coming out great. The cells, I can tell, are already starting to pop up. So this black is a cell maker, faux show. I mean, if that's going to happen, at least it happened on both, like, you know, it's symmetrical, if nothing else. Hey, there we go. Now we're cooking with butane. Okay, so you see, as I torch it, the bubbles that are created from the churning and also from the reaction between the paints, well, these bubbles in particular are from the paints churning when it's being poured into the cup and then onto the canvas. And they become bigger cells because the satin enamel paints have a hydrophobic effect. There seems to be something that happens between matte paints and paints that have more gloss. And the matte paints will sell in a glossier paint. So it's some kind of hydrophobic effect, meaning it's pushing the water away. But that's what a fluid dynamics fluid. He's a scientist of fluid dynamics, whatever that official title is. And the other way to get cells without silicone is using the Rayleigh-Taylor instability, and then that is based on the paint densities, where the more dense paint would sink and the lighter paints would come to the top. So normally I would be expecting to see bigger white cells here. It was the end of the jar, so, you know, maybe it wasn't as fresh. It seems like when you first open them, you know, like they're great at making cells, and then you kind of get towards the bottom and maybe whatever that oily substance is, like it's not as mixed in there. Who knows? Not yet. I'm sure if I keep on experimenting. But But one thing about, you know, the satin enamels is when you stretch them, that they do get bigger. So, and more tends to pop up. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I mean, if I have to make it so that, you know, if I say, never mind to that, I can always just make it this side. Stretch that out. We'll see. I think I can do something with this. All right. Let's make some magic happen. And I'm just going to kind of move this around a little bit. See if that does anything for the white side. Or this side. Black bees, white cells. And I'm also trying to get closer to that angle that I was going for. All right, well, that's setting up. I'm just going to go for it. Okay. And then I'm going to come back over to this opposing corner, try to lock in that angle, at least somewhat. Okay, and now I'm going to go this way because I really want to give that side a good stretch and see if that helps to bring out some of those cells. Good stretch. All right, I need to slow it down. I'm getting wobbly. Getting wobbles in the center. All right, well, clearly I need to do this again with a fresh jar of the white satin enamels. Okay. Well, my lacing got a bit wonky. I think I was moving too quickly. That'll happen. Getting patient. Even I getting patient sometimes. But I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. I think it's cool. I mean, I'm not mad that I didn't get like a boatload of white cells. Just this little bit actually looks kind of neat. But I will try this again and go for that full yin yang effect. Yeah, this is kind of funky. I love what's going on here. Like I said, sometimes what happens on the edges is the coolest stuff. All right, I'm gonna clean up and bring you in for a close-up. Back in a few. Okay, here it is. I'm really digging the composition. My cells did get a bit wonky. I was moving too fast. Very naughty. But I love this center. It's very cool. So yeah, not much action on this side. Again, I think that was the end of the jar. Now, if you were going for the Rayleigh Taylor instability, you would not be able to get white cells with the black. But with the satin enamel, you usually can. So, only with the hydrophobic effect, because titanium white is the heaviest of the pigments. There was just not enough juice left in that jar to give the satin enamels the oomph that they need to do what they do. But I am digging on this. Like, I really like this composition in general. But there it is. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, hope it inspired you to try something new. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and all of that good stuff. Help me stay afloat in the algos. And check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined, the links to my affiliates, which would be DecoArt. One is one of them. If you want to try out these satin enamels for yourself, head on over to DecoArt.com. Use the link in the description box, and I will receive a small commission at no additional cost to you. And you can see that because of the blending, you get that cool Boulder effect. When they blend, it gives it that awesome 3D look. What else? What else is in my description box? We have my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and fluid art inspiration cards for sale. And of course, the link to our Facebook group, Go Make Some Art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces. Ask your questions. Get some inspiration. Good time is had by most. It is the internet after all. All right, y'all. That is it for me. I will be doing this again because I'm really digging what's happening. And yeah, I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.